Boss of Blades.
Hello Slingers, and today I am bringing you a deck profile video for the deck that I proceeded to win the Mythic tournament for the month of June. And I played a Serra deck that had a very interesting sideboard plan, as you may have known if you've seen the finals video, and I just realized I didn't actually post a deck profile video, so here it is. The name of the deck is called Bonds of Shadow, which is because the deck plays Sanguine Bond and uses essentially the deal damage version of Priest, where you use healing to damage your opponent, which is from the concept of Hearthstone, where there was a deck called Shadow Priest. So without further ado, let's get onto the deck. First, we of course have our land Sacred Sanctum. Start of the game, heals you for 2. Turn 5, heals you for 2 some of the time, and otherwise it still gives you an empty gem. So we do want to hit our mana every turn. Every once in a while, though, that empty gem could prevent us doing Day of Judgment, but worst case scenario, we still gain 2 life out of it. So still a good land for what we want to do because of the early game healing. Then, of course, we have Leonin Healer, 2-3 for 2, heals us for 3. It's just a generically good 2-drop and gives us some more healing. Then we have Desperate Prayer, 2 mana, draws this card, heals is equal to its cost. Most of the time, it's an average of heal of 4 or 5 or so, so it's a pretty good deal for 2 mana. We actually mainly want it for acceleration and for leading towards our end game after we started shuffling in Second Suns. It will accelerate us 1 turn closer to drawing that. The other drop we have for 2 is Serra's Disciple. Adds a random angel to our hand on debut, 2-1 for 2. He's one of Serra's signatures. Very good card. They actually had a nerf him. He used to be a 2-2. Then we, of course, have 1 Alarm Bell. The reason we are running 1 Alarm Bell is we do have enough 2-drops to justify it, but also we needed 1 in the main deck in order to execute our side deck plan, which we will get to when we get to sideboarding. Because this tournament did enable you to have a 6-card sideboard that you could switch in between games. The last 2-drop we have is Watchwolf, 3-4 for 2. It's probably the best 2-drop in the game until they dropped Garrett, because Curse Bearer is usually a Watchwolf trample most of the time. But yeah, stat line is great, blocks every 1-drop there is, and most of the 2-drops as well. Then we have Serra's Judgment, 3 mana, makes it so an enemy creature can attack. Just a really good stall tactic. It's mainly really good against like the Nissa matchup because you can force them to have creatures that can't attack, and then they can't very well play Crush of Worms because they wouldn't get the full impact of getting through the worms. If they have things that are Serra's Judgmented or Power Word Stun, it just gums up their board with useless stuff. And a lot of the time, we're not actually attacking until we're going for games, so we don't particularly care. It's just basically, most of the time, it's acting as 3 mana perma stun something until we care about it. Then with Immolating Glare, a lot of people are starting to get smart, thinking you have the Immolating Glare up. And of course, they know we're playing the Immolating Glare because there is open deck list. So if we leave 3 mana open, we probably have an Immolating Glare. Some of the time, you can actually trick people and be like, I have an Immolating Glare, and then you don't have an Immolating Glare, and then they make a 4 attack, so they don't lose their strong attacker, and then you just block them. So, can act for mind games too. It's not always the right call to sacrifice to an Immolating Glare, but you don't necessarily want to lose your biggest thing to Immolating Glare. The other interesting thing is we're not playing Vindictive Shot. Vindictive Shot actually will get to pick what dies, so if all they do is attack their weakest thing, then you just block it and keep the shot for later. Which was an option we could have done, and shot is only 2 mana, but card space, and it could have been a side deck plan, but I mean, it did work out in the end. Pinpoint Avenger, 3-4 for 3, deals damage to each enemy creature that attacked your last turn. Basically, this is a nod to Garrett. If your opponent is playing Garrett, a lot of the time, since they know we have Pinpoint Avenger in the deck, they will not axe their creature to 1 health. And if they do, you have the pinpoint, and you can just kill it for free. It's also a really good target in the sideboard with the Moorland Haunt land that we do run. So we could stack up for multiple deal 1 damage to each enemy creature, and of course, turn 6, you can drop 2 of them, and people don't usually expect that. And that is a huge tempo play. Then we have the 1 of Sanguine Bond. It is only a 1-of, but it is actually a big part of the win condition. For 3 mana, you get a 3-charge artifact. Instead of healing, you damage your opponent. So that means with the Leonin Healer, Desperate Prayer, and of course the Trostani, which we could choose Heal Blessing, and Second Sun, we can instead deal 7 damage. So that is actually part of the combo with Strahd, that we set our opponent's health to 10, then we can Sanguine Bond, use Second Sun's Dawn the next turn, and Healer, that's 10 damage, and unless they heal, then they're dead. Then we have Power Word Stun. We went for Power Word Stun over most of the other options we had for dealing with creatures, because it was not the Liliana matchup, and also once again versus Nissa, stunning a creature for the rest of the game. They do unfortunately get to like fight with it and stuff, which is of course annoying, but sometimes you just want their creature to stay on board. In other instances, your opponent can use the creature as fodder to like Krog or Recycle Grotesque, but you still kind of want Power Word Stun, because in a lot of the time, unless they're doing that for value, it's just one of the best answers you could run. We have Shrine of Valor, another one of Serra's signatures. We are running all of her signatures. They are all very powerful cards. It's a 4-mana artifact that has 2 charges. The first charge summons a knight, and the second charge summons a 4/4 flying angel, which is, of course, very powerful. And a lot of the time we will actually keep it at 1 charge, so then we can play a Day of Judgment, then activate the second charge, and then get the angel and have something on the board that can attack the next turn after a Day of Judgment. Then we have Arrestor Lavinia. This card is very powerful. It is surprisingly powerful. It's actually really good to get off more than Haunt even. You can lock your opponent's board for multiple turns in a row, which we did do in the actual tournament. It's a 4/4 for 5. It has armor. It has sneak. And when you play it, you stun all of your opponent's creatures with 5 power or greater, which almost everything your opponent playing in Garrick will likely have 5 power or greater, so you'll stun their whole board. If your opponent used Crater Hoof, you'll stun their whole board. And one of the games we actually won by attacking with the rest of Lavinia and Icingdeath for exactly 10 after we hit our opponent with Strahd, and that was actually against Long Tim. Then we have Trostani. We will often use every single one of the abilities. It is the only access to ramp that we have outside of Collaborate, which we're not running. So we, a lot of the time, we'll just use it to go up to 6 mana, so our next turn we can play a Day of Judgment if we need to. We can play it for 2 soldiers, have 3 blockers, and of course you can heal ourselves and all of our creatures, which is the part I forget about. It does heal our other creatures as well, so you could attack, your opponent can trade off, and then you can heal them back up using the Nature's Vigor. Very strong card, and also really good off more than Haunt. Second Sun's Dawn, one of the main win conditions, heals herself for 7, and we add the Second Sun to our deck, which is a 10 damage to our opponent and all of their creatures. Very powerful card, and part of the main win condition for almost every control deck, and especially this deck. We could set our opponent up with Strahd to 10 health, then Second Sun, and then it's GG. We have Sun Titan. He is actually we're running him because he's card draw. He's a 7/7 for 6. On day we do attack, we draw the creature from our deck with the lowest cost. Some of the time he does interfere with Alarm Bell because it can accidentally start falling out 2-drops, but he can go scale up to everything from Icingdeath, and if anything else, if he's Strahd, which is the last creature in our deck, meaning once we get Strahd, we don't have any more creatures in the deck. But of course he is also an understated creature for his cost. Overstated creature for his cost. He's a 7/7 for 6. So he's very powerful in terms of being a card draw engine and also just putting stats on the board and being a good blocker. We of course have Day of Judgment. Simple 7 mana, destroy all creatures. It's the main board wipe of the deck, and a lot of the reason we're able to play control. Then we have Icingdeath, 6/8 for 8. He's got flying, kills all creatures with power greater than their health, which is almost everything your opponent's playing in Garrick, and also a lot of other decks that just have big static creatures, but not a lot of health. And he also does fly and hit for 6, so he can also get there in the red zone. Lastly, of course, we have Strahd, Lord of Ravenloft, 10/10 for 10. He is probably the main win condition of the deck, though he isn't always needed. And he just sets both players' health to 10 and flies. We don't have any way to give him haste. Some of the time, we might just play him for 10 and then hit our opponent the next turn if they don't deal with him, or we just hit him with the board, or any number of ways that we could just win off of Strahd here. And next, we will be going over the side deck plan. This is the deck post sideboard when we played against Tino, mainly the Garrick matchup, just to give us another shot at trying to overwhelm him, and also to showcase, of course, that we have the Yak plan. You'll see the land switch to Moorland Haunt, favorite land in game. Starting turn 6, we have a chance to add a 1-cost 1/1 copy of a random creature from our graveyard to our hand, set the gem, and give it flying. So we actually dropped a Leonin Healer, and we also dropped the Pinpoints. We also dropped the Desperate Prayers. And then that lets us add in the 2 Champion Spirits, which combo with the Attack Yak. If a creature dies, return to our hand and give it +1/+1. It also let us combo with Arrestor Lavinia to use her ability multiple times. Best 2 drop in the game, Attack Yak, of course, gets +2/+2 for each other Attack Yak played this game. We made him really, really big, and he comes back with flying, thanks to the Moorland Haunt. And then lastly, but not least, we also added in the second alarm bell to be able to draw our Attack Yaks and our other creatures a little bit more often. One of the issues we had was we did actually get 1/1 Watchwolves off of the Moorland Haunt, but when we did this plan against Tim, we just needed every flyer that we could get. So it worked in the end. So that is the sideboard that we would use pretty much every game. We either would wind up taking out the Watchwolves, or we would take out the Sun Titans, or we would take out the Pinpoints. But we would wind up siding in the Grits, the Attack Yaks, and the second alarm bell, as well as the Moorland Haunts. And that pretty much was our sideboard plan for every round to throw our opponent off course. And that's going to do it for the video. Thanks for watching, and please stop by whenever I drop something new.
Keep the 2 on me, gotta keep the 9 high. Flexing Louis V, yeah, keep my cash on. Sticking true to me, I never had a gas off. I'ma pop off, yeah, I said I'll pop off.